All right, we're good to go.
Helps if I'm not muted. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the June 16th meeting of the Town of Brighton Planning Board. My name is Bill Price. I'm the chairman of the Planning Board. I'd like to introduce the other board members that are here tonight. We have Pam Delaney, David Fader, John Osowski, Karen Altman, Jason Babcock Steiner. Our town attorney is Ken Gordon. Our town planner and secretary of the board is Ramsey Boehner. And Jeff Frisch is providing our technical assistance tonight and is the one kind of pulling all the magic strings behind the curtain here. We will be having public hearings tonight. Everyone will have an opportunity to speak. We first ask the applicant or the applicant's agent or representative to make a presentation. The board has an opportunity upon completion of that presentation to ask questions or make any comments. Once the board and town attorney, town planner questions have been answered, then we will open it up to a public hearing. Jeff will be looking for you. There is a raised hand feature. If you can't find that, please just wave your arms frantically and turn your camera on at that time, wave your arms, and Jeff or Ramsey will be able to find you, and we will ask you to present your questions or your comments regarding an application. Mr. Secretary, will you please call the roll tonight?
Osowski.
Here.
Babcock Steiner.
Here.
Delaney.
Here.
Fader.
Here.
Price.
Here.
Altman.
Here.
Okay. Thank you. We do officially have a quorum for tonight's meeting. Our first order of business is to approve the meeting minutes from our April 21st, 2021 meeting. Could I ask for someone on the board to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes?
This is John. I'll move that we approve the meeting minutes from the April 21st meeting.
Is there a second? I will second. Is there, I seconded Price. Is there any comment or edits necessary? Seconded. Mr. Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Altman.
Aye.
Price.
Aye.
Fader.
Aye.
Delaney.
Aye.
Babcock Steiner.
Aye.
Osowski.
Aye.
Minutes approved.
Thank you. We will review and make a motion on the May 19th meeting minutes at our July 21st meeting. There are public hearings tonight. I believe there are 3 of them. We will go over some postponements and adjournments with regard to applications that some of the members of the public may not be aware of. But I just want to ask the secretary if the applications for tonight's public hearings were properly advertised.
Yes, they were public hearings were properly advertised in the Brighton Pittsburgh Post of June 10th, 2021.
Thank you. We will now hear those. I will call the number and the application information. For those in the audience, I want you to know that application 9PNB1-20 application of Baptist Temple owner and Clover Park Properties LLC has been tabled or adjourned to our July 21st meeting. The application of Claire Streb and McMahon LaRue Associates as agents has been withdrawn by the applicant. That was application 5P NB1-21. And application number 5P NB2-21, the application of Thomas Fantuzzo for preliminary site plan approval at 2041 South Clinton Avenue has been adjourned until our July 21st meeting. So our first application tonight to be heard is 6P 01-21, the application of Mansai Lodrigan, agent, and Arroyo Escondido LLC owner for site plan modification to install a standby generator in the side yard on property located at 900 Winton Road South. Good evening. Is there anyone here to represent the applicant?
Can you hear me?
Now we can.
Okay. My sorry. My name is Michael Barastro. I'm an architect with DDS Companies, and we are representing Comprehensive Dermatology for the installation of their backup generator system. So we're here today looking for preliminary and final approval for the installation of a natural gas generator on the side yard within the 10-foot setback. And those are the two main reasons we're here, because it's in the side yard and it's within the 10 feet. We've already been through the conservation board just to discuss at least the general, the plantings and everything like that to make sure they were acceptable. So we've gone through that approach. We're kind of limited on, obviously the dermatology, a medical office, it's good to have a backup generator in case you're in a procedure and for some reason there's a power outage, you don't want to leave somebody in the middle of something like that. So the client wants to add the backup generator. We're a bit limited on, actually we're pretty limited on where we can place it. The west, which actually is on the top of the screen, is the front yard. So we obviously would not want to place it there because it'd be a visual nuisance. The north aisle is basically a drive aisle between us and our adjacent neighbor. So we wouldn't want to put it there. That would be on the right side of the screen, the right side of our property. The east is parking. So that's actually the lower part. That's all parking back there. And then on the south side, we have some limitations. We have the area where it says 150 feet right there. That area we'd like to keep open for future patio area for the employees. But it's also difficult because there's a lot of openings and windows around there, and we need to stay within a certain distance from openings. So the only place really we could put it, and we've kind of had a preliminary discussion with the town about possible locations, is this corner where we're showing it. In the plan, it'd be the upper left-hand corner. And we're keeping it as tight to the building as we can. The manufacturer is, it's listed to be within 18 inches. It's allowed to be within 18 inches of the building, which is as tight as we can make it. And by placing that, plus the approximate 2-foot width of the unit, we're left over with about 6.4 feet, which is obviously within the 10-foot of our lot line. Noise-wise, it's actually pretty quiet. It's when it's just sitting there. Obviously, it's not doing anything. It does not make noise. Once a month, it does maintenance. It's running at about 55 decibels, which for comparison's sake, that's about your refrigerator is about 55 decibels. And these are all given at about 23 feet away. So you have to be pretty close to hear it. Obviously, on the busiest road like we're on, you're really not going to hear it. When it does run, obviously in the case of emergency and it has to run, it's going to be running at about 65 decibels, which is equivalent to just your basic business office. So again, they're pretty quiet. I'm sure that, most people are familiar with them. They probably see them around. Their neighbors probably have them, and we're obviously trying to hide them. Like I said, we talked to Conservation Board. We are hiding them with the plantings around it, and they seem to be okay with those plantings. And obviously, we're trying to, mask it as much as possible. So I think that's about it. Obviously, I can answer any questions that you may have about it.
Thank you, Michael. Well, can you tell us just a little bit, is this going to sit on a concrete pad, or does this, are you creating a landscape bed right up to this, or does, again, just a little more detail on the ground there, if you could, please?
Okay. Yeah, we're obviously going to have to put it on a pad so that it doesn't settle and move around. It's going to be hard lined in with a gas line, so it can't move too much. We're proposing to have a new 4x14 concrete equipment pad underneath it. And actually, it extends. If you look, it actually extends a bit to cover the 2 AC units that are also there. So the 4-foot width, again, the unit is about 2 feet wide. So we've got a 4-foot wide pad that extends back 14. So it'll be nice and stable.
And the height of this from grade?
The unit's just over, I believe, 28 inches high. And then obviously the pad, you're talking maybe 5 inches.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be very high above grade.
All right. And you did say that the automatic test on this is once a month?
Yeah, you can schedule when it happens. It's anywhere from every once a week, twice a month to monthly, but we've discussed it and we think once a month is fine. And we could definitely do it during the daylight hours as mentioned in the code.
All right. Thank you. Ramsey, board members, are there any questions for the applicant?
When will the maintenance of operations take place?
Well, per code, it has to take place during daylight hours. We haven't exactly fine-tuned the actual time or day that occurs. If there's any specific criteria we need to follow, or the town has a recommendation or preference, we'd be happy to hear it.
No, you want to do it. You seem to be aware of our town code. It is daytime. We would want you to do it. This is going to be natural gas. Is that correct?
Correct.
Your site plan shows 2 4x14 equipment pads. Is that just a typo on the site plan?
Yeah, that's a typo.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's all the questions I have.
Okay. Thank you. Excuse the cat.
I like the cat. That's cool.
Karen, do you have any questions? Okay, John Osowski?
Yeah, so the site plan also shows 2 new air conditioning condensers to the east of the proposed generator. Are there existing air conditioning condensers somewhere else on the site?
I would have to check that. I'm not completely familiar with the project as far as that is concerned, but I can check.
Yeah, I was just curious.
If they are, I believe my recollection is they were being replaced or removed. I don't think there was going to be more than the 2. My recollection.
Yeah, because it gave me the impression that it was a possible replacement of 1 or 2 or several existing condensers that might be in that present location anyway. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Michael, could we just be clear about the adjacent uses, both on the north side, your south side, and maybe to your east? They're all office related, correct?
Correct. Yeah, we're surrounded. It's almost like a medical corner. It's surrounded by 2. I've got to reorient myself. So to the south, which would be to the left on your screen, there's a medical office. Obviously, to the east is Winton Road, and then our other 2 neighbor. Well, The neighbor to the north is a medical office. To the east, there is residential, I believe, but it seems like it's, well, there is another brick building there that's medical, but we're not directly adjacent, very near residential. So visually and sound wise, we're very well blocked, I think.
So your building actually blocks you from
Right.
resident. Okay. Jason, do you have any questions? And Pam
No, I'm all set. Thanks.
and David Fader? David Fader, you all set? You're on mute. I'm going to assume David has no comments. Okay,
Yeah, no, I have no comment. Sorry.
okay. Thank you. All right, then, Ken Gordon, do you have any comments or questions?
All set. Thank you, Bill.
Okay. All right, folks, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience attending tonight that cares to address this application? Jeff or Ramsey, if you see anybody, let me know, please.
Don't see
Looking.
anybody.
I'm looking, still looking.
And everybody, please raise your hand in the
I don't see anybody, Bill.
okay.
I'm not seeing anyone either, Bill.
All right, if by some chance somebody is interested and shows up, we'll hopefully we'll have some time to take their comments. All right, with that, we will move on to our next application, which is 6P02-21. The application of Westfall Medical Realty LLC owner for demolition review and approval and preliminary final site plan approval to raise a 66,015 square foot medical building and reuse the existing foundation to construct a new 6,425 square foot medical building on the property located at 2233 South Clinton Avenue. The application materials have been posted on the website along with all the other applications. Is there anyone attending that will speak to the application, please?
Good evening, Tom Fromberger, MRB Group, here tonight to address any land development questions you have regarding this project.
Okay. Tom, could you give us a brief overview of the proposed action?
Definitely, Bill. As indicated, we are requesting preliminary and final site plan approval for the partial demolition of the existing building, which includes the entire first floor of the single-story building and roof. Existing foundation will be reused to construct a new building. The plans indicate two infill locations, which are shown as the hatched area or the fenced hatch area on the plans. This marginally increases the building size by approximately 410 square feet. No other site improvements are proposed, and other existing utilities will be reused and extended on site. Geothermal to heat and cool the building is currently being installed. We met with the Conservation Board on June 8th. They requested an additional street tree, and upon completion of the project, a town review of the existing landscaping conditions. Soil disturbance is approximately 0.39 acres. Our plans indicate incorrectly 0.53 acres. This is the outer area of the limit shown and dashed on our plan, and does not recognize that the existing building footprint will not be disturbed for any soil disturbance, basically. Architectural review was completed, and Monroe County DRC as well. This concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Just on a very odd personal note, any idea where the existing tenants are going?
I don't know.
Happens to be my doctor. Anyway. Okay, so basically, no other changes to the site. This is not necessarily the first building of other building improvements that you're aware of.
Correct, Bill. Yep.
Okay, all vegetation along the street, the green space, all of that remains as is.
That is also correct. Our limit of disturbance is really the hatched area, which Jeff can go around and highlight. It's the outer perimeter where we're proposing orange construction fencing, and it's focused only on the removal of the building, first floor and roof, and then reconstruction of it. No additional parking. We are improving a access and ramp into the front door.
Okay. All right. Jeff, do you have the images of the architecture of this?
I can bring them up.
It's not entirely necessary. Just Jeff, would you, I'm not Jeff, but Tom, would you remind me, how did the square footage increase if you're using the foundation?
Jeff, if you go back to our plan there.
All right.
On the demolition sheet. There you go. So if you zoom into the where the building is located, the building currently has a long vestibule. So coming off of the sidewalk, there is almost like a fence hatch pattern.
Yes.
That is basically going to be infilled, as well as another vestibule on the left side. So there's a long vestibule and then a smaller vestibule on the left. What we're doing is a combination of sidewalk being removed, as well as the vestibule area, but it's a very small section.
Okay. All right. At this point, no particular, is there any particular building mounted lighting? And
I'll let Nate Rossi, the architect, speak on that, but I believe the lighting is strictly, access over doors and entry.
okay.
That's correct, Tom.
And Nate, this has been to the ARB and received ARB approval?
Correct. This was presented at the April 27th meeting in the Architectural Review Board. It's consistent with the other facade improvements that were previously approved at the Architectural Review Board for the other buildings in the complex. And it received approval, as I said, on the 27th.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All my questions. Any questions from the board members?
Yeah, this is John. I have a question. So the demolition is getting rid of basically the structure down to the floor. Is the existing floor cast in place concrete? Is it a concrete floor that you're taking it down to?
No, it's a wood framed deck over a basement.
Okay.
And the reason for the demolition is that the building is actually so low that it's impossible to get code compliant occupiable ceiling height space within the building as it sits right now.
Very good. Thank you.
Other board members? Ramsey, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I do. Thank you. Tom, have you begun discussions with Monroe County Water Authority about the fire service and the RPZ and where that RPZ is going to be located? Is it going to be located in the building, outside the building?
That is in regard to the mechanical engineer working on the project. We are not working on that piece. I believe Nate Rossi has been coordinating that with Pathfinders.
Actually, Turner Engineering has been working on that. There's an existing RPZ that is located inside of Building 5. The fire service would extend from Building 5 over to Building 1 and would be serviced through the existing RPZ that's approved.
And that RPZ is in the building?
It is in the
Where
building.
that's located? Okay, good. And Tom, what did you say the area of disturbance was?
Area disturbance is 0.39 acres of soil disturbance.
All right, so you do not have to do a SWIP.
Correct.
How will the access to the office park be maintained throughout the construction of the new facility?
Access will be from the west entrance and then a staging area on the existing parking lot to the right of the building.
Will that only be used for construction? Is
That's,
that going to be separated out?
no, that'll be, my understanding, it'll be used for construction.
I'm sorry, what was that, Tom?
It'll be used for construction is my understanding.
Construction only?
Construction only on the right side of the building. Kind of out of the way. There's currently tenants in building 5, which is to the west of us, so that parking lot will be under use. So any tenant parking and staging area would occur on the east side of building 1.
Are the roof leaders going to be tied into the existing storm system?
They are, the existing roof leaders are already tied in, and the proposed ones would follow suit.
Will you be having any generators?
No.
That's a no from me.
Oh, that's no, okay, I'm sorry. And do you know where the location of the HVAC systems are going to be?
As Tom mentioned, this will be heated and cooled with a geothermal system. So the geothermal
right.
wells have been drilled already to the north of the building, and they'll feed into the basement.
And what are you guys providing for trash? Is there a dumpster enclosure or?
The existing rubbish services are going to maintain.
And that's adequate?
Yes.
I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
All right.
This is John. What's the date of the original construction of the present building? You know?
I don't know exactly, but it's typical of 1960s vintage low-rise office buildings.
Okay. Has that building been assessed for asbestos containing materials? You know, gypsum board compound or floor tile or any of those materials?
Yes, a hazardous material survey has been done.
And were any hazardous materials found?
Not to my knowledge. I believe that's no.
Oh,
Are
interesting.
you sure? Have you read that report?
I
Is
have.
that your understanding? Tom Fromberger?
You're muted, Tom. I'm muted.
A second.
Thank you. I've been unmuted. I believe there is some asbestos.
Yeah, that was my understanding too.
My apologies. I misspoke.
Okay, that's all right. But you've done the report.
Report has been submitted and has been done and submitted to the town. Yep.
Okay. Ramsey, are you good?
Yeah, I don't have any further questions.
Other board members, other questions? Jason, you all set? Hey,
Nope.
Good, thanks.
Karen, you're all set? And David?
I'm all
Okay.
set.
All right, thank you. Before we open this up, we see people raising hands, we will open up to public comment. I would ask Ken Gordon, Town Attorney, to just remind both the board and the public of what the action is here that the planning board is being asked to take and to discuss the permitted uses in this district and what our charge and responsibility is with tonight's hearing. Ken, can you just give us a little legal
Yep.
background on this?
Thank you, Bill. And this is really for the benefit of those members of the public attending this meeting and those who may be watching it remotely. The planning board is charged with reviewing the site plan to make sure that the plan of the demolition and then reconstruction of this property meets with the town code and the requirements under state law, county law, and town law relative to construction aspects of the property, including the structure, including the parking. What we are not reviewing is whatever particular purpose, medical purpose, is being used. The purpose proposed for this building is a permitted use within the zoning district, and the planning board has absolutely no jurisdiction to change that in any way. The planning board cannot, may not make a determination on the propriety of the site plan and whether the site plan itself is approved or not, based upon the type of medical services that are going to be provided in this facility. There has been in the past in the town of Brighton litigation over abortion clinics, and it has been made clear to the town of Brighton that the issue of the permissibility of abortion clinics in the state of New York is a matter of state law and has been preempted by state law, and that local authorities have no authority to regulate in any way abortion clinics beyond what the state guidelines are. So I understand that perhaps some, maybe even many of you who have attended this evening's meetings have strong feelings on one side or another of the abortion issue. But please know that the planning board does not make state law, does not have authority to determine whether this proposed building demolition and reconstruction should be approved based upon whether this is or is not an abortion clinic or what type of medical services are being provided within the clinic. Particularly, and I heard some of this at the town board meeting just last week, the issue of whether there is going to be protests and or other public demonstrations outside of this building has absolutely also nothing to do with zoning and planning determinations, cannot form the basis. That again is out of a prior appellate court decision that involved the town of Brighton and is controlling upon the town of Brighton. So I wanted to put that out there, certainly for the planning board, but also for the members of the public, so that everyone understands what role it is that the members of the planning board are playing this evening. Bill, any other questions or clarifications?
No, I just wanted to be clear on the legal jurisdiction and responsibilities of the planning board before we do open this up to comment. Ken has given us the legal statutes that we are obligated to comply with. I am the chairman of the planning board and will seek to conduct this in a civil manner. We will open up for conversation. Our charge, again, is only to listen to those comments that pertain to the site plan approval portion of this. We will listen to people, but we kindly ask you that if your opinion or opinion similar to yours has been presented before you, do not repeat the same statement or opinion. And that's all we ask. So Jeff, why don't we open it up? I think there are 3 or 4 people that I can see have raised their hand. We will
Yep.
take you in the order that Jeff saw you or sees you raising your hand. Please go ahead, Jeff. Tell us who we have.
Elizabeth Schreiber. Schreiber.
Good
Elizabeth,
evening.
good evening.
Good evening. I appreciate your time tonight and the ability to have this discussion. I wanted to focus in a little bit and just ask for more information. My understanding is the application is Westfall Medical Center, but this is a Planned Parenthood building. Can you tell me a little bit more about the notice that was put in the newspaper and if it had any specific content that listed that this would be a Planned Parenthood medical facility? Thank you very
And,
much.
Bill, this is Ken Gordon again, if I might just remind those who are participating in the public hearing, the purpose of a public hearing is for the planning board to hear your comments, not to answer your questions. The planning board will not be responding to questions during the public hearing, but please feel free to make whatever comments you wish relative to this project.
Okay,
Go ahead, Jeff, with our next.
Robert Thornton.
Good evening, Robert.
Good evening. Thank you for your time and explanations of the controversy of this proposed building plan. You're taking great care into consideration of all the aspects of how this facility is going to function for the purpose of Planned Parenthood. There will be controversy over this. There will be people that have a passionate opposition to it. They will be probably wanting to be present to pray for the dignity of the lives lost at the facility as they abort the children there. And I'm wondering where in the planning stages of this building and medical facility, are they planning to bring the pieces of children in and out as medical waste so that the people that want to pray for those children to be disposed of and as medical waste, where will they be able to position themselves in an undisruptive manner so that way we can fulfill our faith-based obligation for the dignity of life of all these children that are going to be aborted there, that we can just pray in the name of Jesus Christ for them while this is all happening. I understand you've made great painstaking care to make sure that the building gets built properly and everything is impacted environmentally. But as you probably already know, many people are very passionate about the purpose of this building. And those are probably just going to be the main concerns that are going to impact this property after its completion. We understand there's probably nothing we're going to stop the building of this building, but these are probably going to be the main points that are going to happen afterwards. And I guess that's probably the one thoughts that I had towards that. Thank you.
Robert, thank you for participating. Appreciate it. Jeff, who is next?
Carol Cross.
Carol, good evening. You're muted, Carol.
Okay. Can people hear me now?
Yes.
Now we can, yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, Bill. I'm here with my husband. We've been longtime residents of Brighton. We're at 1675 Clover Street. I feel like I'm looking not at you, but it's hard for me to know how to look at everyone. I'm sorry about that. I think that this very much impacts the use of this building, very much impacts questions that you have already been discussing, particularly the trash, because you'd be talking about biomedical hazard material, body parts. So yes, this being a Planned Parenthood does very much impact the discussion about the environment and parking, traffic. we are writing and we have handed in a letter requesting that there be an adjournment of the town planning board and that they reconsider this application until a later date when all necessary facts can be known. This correspondence that I have sent into the board, and I hope all of you have a copy of it, it apprises the board of serious concerns that Brighton Residents Against Violence have to date that are based on the few facts that are known so far in this application. Number one, the environmental assessment form, paragraph 8, wrongly denies that the proposal will, quote, result in a substantial increase in traffic above present levels, unquote. Detailed traffic and parking studies will be required, would they not, before this application can be considered. And number two, dangerous abortions are not legitimate medical use as contemplated by the B1 zone. The applicant is essentially anonymous, and you may know this. Despite substantial research and investigation, we have been unable to find a website or identify the principles behind Westfall Medical Realty LLC. It has been registered with the New York Secretary of State, but further, the attached Securities and Exchange Commission filing lists, which we provided to you, mysteriously lists individuals. All are purported with the same last name, and that last name is Westfall. None appear to live in Rochester or be Rochester physicians. This seems extremely unusual that there's this kind of anonymity. Why is this application so cloaked in secrecy? The tenant is Planned Parenthood, the largest provider of abortions in this country. If the applicant cannot be honest about its tenant, we certainly can't count on it to be a good citizen of the town of Brighton. This proposal would increase traffic and parking problems to dangerous levels. At the very least, an expert traffic engineer study is required. The secrecy about Planned Parenthood is not difficult to understand. It opposes numerous protests and sidewalk advocates that surround nearly every one of their abortion clinics in the country. They are aware that conscientious, concerned volunteers are entitled to exercise their freedom of speech and are included under the federal and state constitutions. This right to public education contrasts sharply with Planned Parenthood's record of concealment and extends even to this pending application before the board. Many Brighton Residents Against Violence supporters educate expectant parents. They provide services and assist in making life-affirming choices for their children. Volunteer sidewalk advocates from Rochester area organizations reach out to mothers every day with offers of real help and support, help that they do not receive from Planned Parenthood. These mothers and families deserve material and financial help and ongoing support both during and after their pregnancy. We know from long-standing experience with the University Avenue Planned Parenthood what this will mean for Brighton and surrounding businesses. The presence of sidewalk advocates on Westfall and South Clinton during all business hours every single business day of the week. This is called the environment. This disrupts the community and the numerous neighboring medical facilities. Advocates and caregivers will regularly be on the busy intersection of Westfall and South Clinton with signs. Because of excess traffic noise, voice amplifiers will need to be used. There will also be increased noise from cars honking. University Avenue residents often complain about the number of cars who pass by and honk, whether in support of or in opposition to Planned Parenthood. Look at the signs across the street from University Avenue on the Grove Street residential neighborhood lawns. They say, please do not honk. There will be large pro-life gatherings that are at the University Avenue Planned Parenthood. They will also now occur in the town of Brighton. The EAF is wrong, and abortions should not be permitted in the town zone, which is designed for legitimate quote unquote medical use. Inevitably, a Planned Parenthood in Brighton will also mean higher police presence and strain on police resources. Police are stationed regularly, I'm talking regularly, at the University Avenue Planned Parenthood, including to pull drivers over for honking their horns. Neighbors also needlessly call the police multiple times, which force the police to respond to the scene only to have their valuable time wasted at Brighton taxpayers' expense. Clearly, paragraph A of this application is materially wrong. As a Brighton resident, I am proud of the town's state-of-the-art medical facilities, particularly in the West Falls, South Clinton area. But abortion is not healthcare. Quite the opposite, in fact. The University Avenue Planned Parenthood has increased medical emergencies, necessitating multiple ambulance calls to that site. Planned Parenthood's track record reveals that abortions are not a legitimate quote unquote medical use as contemplated by the town's zone. Thank you for considering our request to adjourn this application and to allow the development of a sufficient factual record to substantiate the objections stated in this application. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Appreciate you coming up. Jeff, who's next, please?
Amy's iPhone.
Amy, good evening. Could you please give
Hi.
us your name?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm at my son's soccer game, so I'm calling from my car. My name is Amy Shee, and I live at 240 Oakdale Drive. I am a longtime employee of Planned Parenthood of Central and Western New York and a resident of Brighton for over 15 years. And I just share some information so that the planning board, the town board, and the residents of Brighton can make an informed decision about this application. After your initial statements, I was not going to speak, but since people are speaking about how they feel, I do want to put this out. So PPCWY has 8 brick and mortar health centers and 1 mobile clinic that span Western New York from Buffalo to Syracuse. The clinics are located in urban, suburban, and rural areas. And one thing that they have in common is that they're all located where patients may not be able to get the services we offer easily from other health centers. And yes, those services, I'm proud to say, do include legal, safe, in-clinic abortions at some of our health centers and medication abortions at all of our health centers. We also offer other life-saving and health-promoting services such as birth control, emergency contraception, and long-acting reversible birth control, which incidentally reduces the need for abortion. We have smoking cessation, HIV testing, prevention and education, testing and treatment for sexually transmitted infections, which are increasing at alarming rates in Monroe County, urinary tract and vaginal infection testing and treatment, Pap tests, colposcopy and breast exams, which screen for cancer, wellness exams, miscarriage treatment, menopause and menstrual problem treatment, and gender affirming hormone treatment. We offer all these services in clinic, in person, and via telehealth, and we do it with respect, without judgment, no matter what. We did have a site in Greece, which unfortunately we had to close because our landlord sold the building. And when we heard about that plan, we were thinking about relocating the Brighton or Henrietta area so that people further south could access us easily using 390. And contrary to what was said at the previous town board meeting, having a Planned Parenthood in Brighton will increase the diversity, equity, and inclusion of Planned Parenthood and the town of Brighton. And lastly, I just want to say, I find that it's a very strange argument to say that the protesters who would cause all this noise and unneeded police calls and wasting our tax dollars is the reason that we should not open. Maybe they should stop bothering patients who are trying to get their health care while we are doing the legal, rightful, and beneficial thing. Thank you.
Amy, thank you for joining the conversation. Jeff, who's next, please?
Dr. Lara Evans.
Dr. Evans, good evening.
Sorry, I unmuted the wrong person.
Yes, thank you. Hi, my name is Dr. Laura Evans. I'm a physician in the community. I'm actually right down the street from the proposed area and a resident of Brighton for many years, over 20 at this point on Vienna Wood Drive. I would like to speak in support of basically what I think Michelle was her name just said. That has been my experience as a long-term physician in this community. We have a tremendous lack of ability of access for patient care. In the last few years, I've done more gynecologic care than I have in my previous 25-year career because people have had difficulty with access. I would also like to speak of some of the inaccurate statements that were made earlier as far as medical waste goes of anything that might be coming out of Planned Parenthood. It would be handled in the same way things that are medical waste would be coming out of my office, which is down the street, and any of the other office buildings are around, and it would be handled appropriately. Secondly, the concept of a dangerous abortion. This has been a well studied and researched question, that it is actually safer to have an abortion than it is to continue to carry a pregnancy to full term. That has been studied and published in the New England Journal of Medicine. And anybody who would like that information, I'm more than happy to provide it to the board. I don't have it off the top of my head, but I know it's been published. I would also like to know and support that Planned Parenthood does much more than just abortions and provides care for women in needing just basic things like pap smears, as they said, HIV testing, STD testing, of which I've done this week because my patients couldn't get into their gynecologist or didn't have a gynecologist. And I would also like to know if we're concerned about how the protesters are going to be, safely managed and where they can pray quietly. I would like to know how the patients are actually going to be able to get into the office and not be bothered regardless of why they're there, because they have a right to be there and we have a right to provide adequate, safe, and appropriate medical care to every woman in this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Evans. Appreciate your time.
Next will be Wynette Vickers.
Wynette, good evening.
Good evening. I would like to say that Planned Parenthood offers access to women who may need specific GYN care regardless of their immediate ability to pay as well, which tend to affect minorities to a greater degree. So by initially approving this application, Brighton is taking another step towards a more equitable community.
Thank you for your comments. Appreciate your time coming out. Jeff?
Jen Lockemeyer.
Jen, good evening.
Hi, good evening. I thought this was about the site requirements, so I don't know why physicians are commenting about the benefits of killing your own baby. But I really have a concern about the building's ability to handle, if you want to call it waste, if you want to call the parts of children waste, let's call it waste, but you still have to deal with it. And it seems to me the prior application, there was more there was more concern over where that generator was going to go and who was going to be affected for a derm's office. And here we have an enormous medical facility that's engaged in a very controversial a medical practice, quite frankly, in my opinion, a barbaric medical practice. But nevertheless, I would think the planning board would be very concerned about the landlord's ability to manage all of this waste and all of the traffic. And that would be the end of my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Jeff, who's next?
Michelle.
Come on.
Michelle, good evening.
Yes, hi. This is Dr. Michelle Chin. I am a Brighton resident since 2003. I lived on Clover Hills Drive and now I live on Wilshire Road. I have never been employed by Planned Parenthood. I am not an abortion provider. I have not been since 2000. And this community needs providers, and these are safe. I don't want to repeat what Amy Shee and Dr. Lara Evans stated, but I think Brighton is an excellent location. I personally live in Brighton. I chose Brighton. I'm from New York City originally. After residency at Strong, I chose Brighton because it is racially diverse. It's not only ethnically diverse, it is the most gay-friendly, suburb of Rochester. There are more interracial parents than I've seen. Religiously, it's extremely diverse. I mean, I grew up in New York City. I went to NYU. Some of us call it NYJU. So I wanted my children to grow up with the experiences that I had, and I just feel that it's definitely a great location. My OB/GYN office is in Greece. And a lot of my patients, they have gone in and out of having medical insurance, and some of them come back with unwanted pregnancies. Some of them come back just not even having a pap smear for so many years. And I always say to them, I said, you could have gone to Planned Parenthood. And I feel like there's just so much stigma just on that word, like just the name Planned Parenthood is so loaded. I mean, I can feel it in the prior residents that spoke. But really, I think it's a great location. Westfall, it's a hotbed of medical offices. I really don't think it's going to change much to the traffic. In fact, I moved from Clover Hills Drive to Wilshire to avoid the Whole Foods traffic and the Monroe crazy traffic that's happening on that side of town. And then in terms of the people, the picketing and all that, I can just speak from the fact that I was going to a Planned Parenthood to do some rehearsals for a show of the vagina monologues, and I had to cross those picketers, and I wasn't even going there as a patient. I wasn't even going there as a provider, and it was difficult for me to even enter the building. So I really feel that being amongst other medical facilities, because it is a medical facility, would be very helpful for patients and providers to continue to go there. And I guess that's all I have to say. You can go back to muting me. Thank you.
Dr. Chin, thank you. Jeff, who's next?
Heather Coyne.
Heather, good evening.
Hold on 1 second.
Okay, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Wonderful. Okay, like Amy, I was going to hold off on comments, but I'm just going to put them out there and you can just say thank you and we can move on. But I just want to say my name's Heather Coyne and I live on Hollywood Avenue in Brighton. I'm commenting to express my ardent support for the proposed building of a Planned Parenthood office in our town. Our town supervisor has clearly expressed that the core values of Brighton include education and diversity and inclusion. I can think of no better organization to welcome to Brighton than one that keeps those values at the center of its mission. Whether someone needs low-cost gynecological treatment, information and help with hormonal health for menopause or gender-affirming care, sexual health testing and treatment, or legally protected pregnancy ending options, Planned Parenthood will support that person with the care and dignity they deserve legally and morally. I understand there may be some concern about traffic with protesters present. We all know that protesters will be there. They have the legally protected right to protest, just as people here have the legally protected right to end pregnancies. I would hope that those causing any possible traffic disruption would show concern for the lives of drivers and passengers and take care in their approach to protesting. One of the issues with which our country struggles is access to safe, affordable health care for everyone. If our town is to live up to its expressed values, then we should be using every opportunity to expand that access. This issue hits communities of color particularly hard. While I would never speak for Black people, I would certainly listen to them. Marcella Howell, President and CEO of In Our Own Voice, National Black Women's Reproductive Justice Agenda, said in January of this year, Black women demand immediate action to expand access to reproductive health care and to restore reproductive rights. We must ensure that all pregnant people have access to the full range of reproductive care, including abortion care and the resources to make reproductive health decisions, including the decision to have and raise our families with dignity. End quote. At this terrifying time when states are restricting rights regarding reproductive justice, life-saving LGBTQ+ healthcare, accurate historical curricula regarding racism, and voting rights altogether, I sincerely hope Brighton will continue to welcome organizations like Planned Parenthood that advocate for and center education, compassion, and justice. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Heather.
Next
Jeff?
is Terrence Lester.
Please say the name again.
Terrence Lester.
Karen, good evening.
Terrence.
Oh, I'm sorry, Terrence. Yeah. Good evening, Terrence.
Good evening. Thank you. I live at 25 Eastland Avenue. I'm attending tonight's meeting in support of, or I should say affirmation of Ms. Crossett's comments regarding request for adjournment of the proposed approval of this facility. I also find it there seems to be a sort of a breakdown in the process of public notification of the purpose of express use of the building, which Planned Parenthood being what it is, and the majority of its income coming from the performance of abortion procedures is an important, it shouldn't be a footnote on the application. So I just, I won't speak anymore because I thought that Ms. Crossett expressed herself so eloquently, but I also oppose this proposed approval. Thank you.
Thank you for participating. Jeff?
Next will be Ellen.
Ellen, good evening. Could you give us your name, please?
Good evening. My name is Ellen Duncan. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I've been a proud Brighton resident for over 10 years now, but I am extremely disappointed by the lack of transparency with this. You know, I don't know when this whole process was started, but we're just finding out right now that this medical facility is indeed a Planned Parenthood, and there are many Brighton residents who would have liked to know that beforehand. Liz, I believe her name was Liz in the beginning, asked, you know, why weren't we notified? And you said you couldn't answer that. Who could I go to ask that kind of question?
I'll address this only briefly.
Bill, this is Ken Gordon again. If
Yeah.
I could, I'll just repeat what I said before. This is a public hearing. The planning board is here to listen to your comments and receive whatever comments or Other remarks you'd like to make? The planning board will not be answering questions.
Okay, thank you. So then let me just touch on a little bit. I'm not going to respond to everything that others have said. Just a couple things. First of all, the point that Planned Parenthood, that there's a lack of medical facilities in the area where people can go. And I want to say that there are a lot of FQ, federally qualified health centers. They work on the same basis, sliding scale. And actually they offer more comprehensive health care than Planned Parenthood. And just to give you an idea of how many we have in the Rochester area, there's about 8 or so of them within a mile of the University Ave Planned Parenthood. And there are many, many more in the area. And like I said, they offer comprehensive health care. One of the Planned Parenthood people mentioned STD testing as one of their, services. Again, this can be something that patients can go somewhere else to get it for free. Actually, there are some walk-in places where they can get it for free. Anyway, I won't keep going on about that. But also just to touch briefly on the protester conversation that we're having here. I am with Rock Love Will End Abortion. I'm with BRAVE, Brighton Residents Against Violence. And so I'm a sidewalk advocate. I'm on outside of University Ave, and I can assure you that we are peaceful and that we do not block access at all. So Michelle Chin, I think must have been talking about a different, I guess, a group, because we aren't even in that area that she had mentioned, and we never block access. We never make it difficult for people to get in. But what we do is provide help for them that Planned Parenthood does not offer. So just to give you some real life examples, we just threw baby showers for 2 women recently who have turned away from abortions. They got everything they needed completely for free. So thousands of dollars worth of brand new items. We've helped pay people's rent, people's internet bills. We've been with them and as they helps them work through abusive relationships, getting out of those really difficult relationships. So anyway, I just want to give you a picture of really what we are doing out there. We're truly there to help the woman. Yep.
Please,
yes.
Please focus the comments on the application and not what your organization does or doesn't do.
Yes, I'm sorry. I was just responding to some of the other people's comments.
We've heard them, so please don't repeat.
Okay, so sure, just to get down to it, I am asking you to adjourn this application on the grounds of needing a traffic study, environmental study. There's been a question of where the medical waste would go. And I would ask you to adjourn it on those reasons, and also the lack of transparency. Brighton residents have not had a chance to voice their opinion on this because we are just now finding out that this is a Planned Parenthood. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate your summary. Jeff, who's our next speaker?
Ben.
Ben, good evening. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Ben Trinyowski. I'm a MCC graduate this year. I live on Landing Road in Brighton. I want to voice my support of what all that Ellen just said and Carolyn was coming before me. I think that being an MCC resident and a young person in my generation, we know that 1/4 of our generation is missing because of abortion. One quarter of my generation has been killed by abortion. So I think that Brighton, we could really do a lot better than opening an abortion mill. In our town, we could be providing real comprehensive help for women and not just saying that killing our preborn children is going to fix all our problems. So that's pretty much all I have to say. I think that everything's already been said before, so I'll just keep it brief. I think that we could just do a lot better. Thank you.
Thank you for coming out. Appreciate it. Jeff?
Next is Elizabeth.
Elizabeth? Have we heard from, is this Elizabeth Schreiber?
It looks like I'm on. No, my name is Elizabeth Belcher. I am also
Okay.
a Brighton resident.
Thank you.
And I live on Dale Road. I wanted to reiterate, so I guess for some background, so I have my PhD in the biomedical sciences, and I also have training in epidemiology. I have a lot of experience working at the Strong Medical Center campus and in different laboratories there. And one thing that I wanted to bring up, and questions about whether this facility would be involved in any research activities, and if there are zoning questions that need to be related to being involved in research. And the reason I ask that is because sometimes research labs partner with medical facilities and require specific zoning, or specific, I should say, regulations with regard to the facilities, like for example, BSL 2 level labs that would be dealing with research relating to human samples. So I have questions about that. I have questions about the incineration of waste and the disposal of waste, and whether the biohazard waste will be incinerated on site, and whether the building has the appropriate facilities to do so. And if there is any reason to suspect that this, if there is incineration of the medical material on site, if this has any potential impact on the air quality in the area. And I also do have a question about ambulance access, because as I think some other people have brought up, the Planned Parenthood facility and other Planned Parenthood facilities oftentimes need to have ambulance access to the building. And my concern is whether there has been appropriate study about ambulance access to the building, whether the parking lot is suited to handle that, and whether this will impact the traffic flow inside, coming into and out of the medical park location, and how this will impact the surrounding traffic and anything related to that. So I thank you for this. And I also ask as well if I will say I don't know much about what qualifies as a medical organization in terms of the zoning perspective. A number of people have voiced opinions about Planned Parenthood being a healthcare organization. But I will say from a research perspective, there are numerous studies, including one that I was just reading in the Journal of Affective Disorders, where they studied 57,000 women that were seen across 281 different gynecological practices. And they looked at differences between women who had their first ever medical diagnosis of depression, anxiety, or other mental health disorders versus women who did not. And interestingly, they found that women who had medically induced abortions within the past 5 years had 2 times the odds of having depression, anxiety, or other mental health diagnoses. So I just wanted to raise to the board, because I felt like I'm in agreement that there weren't enough opportunities to discuss this in other contexts. And I recognize that this might be slightly off focus, but does this really, qualify as a medical care facility? And, does the owner of the building feel that this qualifies as a medical facility, and how will the ownership of the space be impacted by all of this? Sorry, that last part didn't make sense, but yes, so thank you for the time.
Thank you for joining the conversation. Appreciate it. When you do speak, I ask that you please turn on your camera. Jeff, who's next?
Gluck.
Bob, good evening.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'm a proud Brighton resident for nearly 30 years. My wife and I have raised our children in Brighton. We have a home on Dunbarton Drive. And I heard loud and clear the town attorney start the conversation, the open discussion, with being mindful of the role of this particular hearing. And I was going to be respectful of the attorney. I fully understand this is not the venue to debate life versus choice. However, after hearing women and physicians speak about their support of abortion, I can't sit here silently. So I'll cut to the chase. I'm a Jew, okay? I'm a conservative Jew who lives in Brighton for 30 years, who's probably part of a minority. However, the anonymity, the cloaked in silence, the lack of information, if this gets out to the conservative Jewish community in Brighton, there'll be loud protests, okay? To the woman, and I don't know if you're a physician or not, who said how difficult it was to cross protesters, I want to ask you a question, okay?
Mr. Gluck, keep it civil.
I want to ask her a question.
No, you're not going to do that.
If it's so difficult to walk across.
Mr. Gluck, Mr. Gluck, we're going to have to mute you, sir, if you do not follow the decorum of this public hearing. And that decorum of this public hearing includes not making comments attacking other speakers. We are respectful of all of your rights to speak tonight. Please do take the opportunity to express your concerns to the town planning board. The town planning board is here to listen, not to answer your questions, but please do not attack other speakers. And if you do, you will be muted. Thank you.
Jeff, who's next?
Ellen.
Ellen, good evening.
Good evening. I just had a thought. In the first proposal regarding the generator, there was talk about adjacent properties being whether or not they're residential. And I didn't hear in this proposal if there are adjacent properties that are residential. So I would just ask that the board look into that. It seems like from what I'm hearing that there's a lot of lack of transparency of this tenant and their business. And maybe if there are adjacent properties or very close by properties that are residential, those residents should know what's being proposed here if they are not aware. And I don't know if the town board, what you do about that, but I would just ask that you look into that. And also, it seemed like there was some uncertainty about the hazardous materials report. There was a positive and a negative answer on that. So I would just ask that the planning board maybe adjourn this application to get more information on that hazardous materials report and look at that a bit closely. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for joining us tonight. Appreciate it. Okay, Jeff.
Next will be Cecilia.
Cecilia Lester, good evening.
Hi, yes, my name is Cecilia Lester. I just calling in to say that we've heard you say several times now that you're not able to answer our questions. And I would just sort of generally ask then who is? And because I did attempt to call the town board, let's see, it was on the 9th. And I'll tell you what my experience was with that. We were given a phone number through the website. I tried calling this number 3 or 4 times. I know 2 other people who did as well between the time of 7 o'clock and 7:20. The phone would ring, no one would answer it, and it would go right to voicemail. Okay. The whoever was hosting the Zoom was completely unaware of the fact that people were waiting to be let into the Zoom meeting. And so did not have the comment section enabled. So people were not able to tell them that we were waiting. The YouTube comments were also disabled. And finally, Supervisor Maley said that the open forum discussion had ended because he was completely unaware of the fact that nobody could get in. I ended up sending him a message on Facebook, and it was about 7:30 at that time. And he was very nice and opened up the Zoom to whomever was waiting. But at this point, it was just a few people. And, you know, it just seems like, to restate what other people have said as far as the lack of transparency, I mean, people should know about this. This is a completely controversial organization. I mean, people would want to know that that's coming here. And I would say that, you know, as far as access, to second Ellen's comment about the federally qualified health, 2 252 facilities in New York State where women can get abortions. I mean, to put that in perspective, there's 48 Wegmans in New York State, okay? People can get abortion already in Brighton, okay? And 86% of the non-government revenue of Planned Parenthood, and this has been testified to by Cecile Richards in front of Congress, comes from abortion. This is an abortion facility. It's the leading provider of abortion in this country. And abortion is an elective medical procedure. That's why it's called choice, because there's
I believe we're
alternatives to
wandering
this
away
procedure.
from our goal and our focus here tonight.
Okay, okay,
Thank you.
fair enough. But here's
Thank you.
the thing though. Here, wait, one last thing. Who can listen to us then? If you're not listening to us, okay, and you're not
We
listening
never
to the
said
residents
we're
of
not
Brighton,
listening. We're not answering your questions is what we said.
then who can answer our questions?
We will consider your concerns. Just state your concern and we will consider
Where's
those.
the democratic process though? If you don't answer us, if the town board doesn't answer us, then where do we hear anything back to us?
Please mute her, please. Okay, let's speak. Let's go to our next speaker.
It'll be Jennifer Katz.
I'm going to ask everybody to please remember what our attorney asked you all to do is to focus on this application. Do not give us a lot of details about Planned Parenthood or your perceptions. We're interested in your comments relative to this site plan. Is Jennifer next?
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Katz. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist. I live on Hillside Avenue. I've been a Brighton resident for over 20 years. I want to speak briefly about the harms of stigmatizing abortion. Between 1 in 4 and 1 in 5 women of reproductive age have an abortion in their lifetimes. Stigmatizing abortion endangers people who may become pregnant. There are many valid reasons, both medical, social, and others. And the stigmatization of abortion as a procedure adds to the stress affecting women's physical health, mental health, and their family functioning. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Others wishing to speak, Jeff?
I don't see any more. Oh, there's one more, Michael Saff.
Mike Saffron. Good evening. It's Michael, right?
Yes, correct. Thank you. And I'll try to be consistent with the spirit of your request, but also, perhaps some personal opinion here. First, I'll say 57-year Brighton resident. You heard correctly, 57. Brighton native, Brighton High School alumnus, lifelong Brightonian. Raised in Central Brighton, now a resident of West Brighton. And when former supervisor Frankel, just a quick aside, when she used to host the West Brighton community forums, to her credit, she started those a number of years ago. I was like 30 years old when I moved to West Brighton. I was always one of the youngest people in attendance, but I also thought one of the longest residents. Probably if we were in person today, I'd look around and no longer one of the youngest, but still one of the longest residents at 57 years. I'll try to keep it relatively short.
Thank you.
Because some of these comments have been articulated by others very, very well. I'm opposed to the Planned Parenthood abortion clinic in Brighton for some of the reasons that have already been articulated by others. Harm to women, harm to youth, harm to family. I think, if anyone is empowered by abortion, it's certain men who accept no responsibility and can walk away. But I'm also going to address something a little different from those kinds of comments that we've heard from others. I work with college students, as do a couple other people here who I recognize their Zoom squares. It's relevant to note. I can't make any claim about percentages and opinions, although it was very good to hear from Ben, the MCC student, because I notice a discernible shift The tide is shifting. Some people would deny that. I see it. The tide is shifting toward pro-life among youth. Gen Z are the students that I have. One of the slogans of the very good organization, Students for Life, I'm wearing one of their shirts tonight, is I am the pro-life generation. And there's a lot of truth behind that. There's momentum behind that. And so Brighton, where I've lived for 57 years, Brighton certainly is one of the most inclusive communities. There's no question about that. In other ways, I implore Brighton and the planning board, and looking at this proposal, to be on the right side of history. We hear that about other things. Be on the right side of history in the pro-life debate. Be on the side of the truly voiceless, the most vulnerable. Be on the side of the unborn. And for other reasons, the lack of transparency with this proposal, as others have mentioned, I likewise supported adjournment of this proposal. Thank you.
Michael, thank you for your time. Are there others?
Dan Simpson.
Dan, good evening. And you're on mute.
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry. I'll speak very briefly. I just want to speak in favor of this application. I certainly agree that all of the I's should be dotted and the T's crossed. So certainly do ensure that the environmental review and the traffic review and all of those are correct. I appreciate the care that you're taking. Mostly what I appreciate is that Brighton is making space in its community for to provide greater access, equitable access to healthcare. Equitable access to healthcare continues to be a problem in our country. To the extent that Brighton is making space for that, we're doing the right thing, and we are on the right side of history. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for participating. Jeff?
Graciela.
Graciela, good evening.
Hello, sorry. I am Graciela. I live at Warrington Drive, and I'm here to support the Planned Parenthood. I wasn't planning on speaking, but because two previous people thought they would speak for my entire generation, I thought I would just comment and say that I think there are more people concerned about having equitable access to healthcare going into their future. And if they're not comfortable with their parents or like knowing or having privacy or just, sorry, my dog just did something, but, or if they just aren't close to another facility, it's just very helpful to have. And I think that as other people on this discussion have stated, it's more important to be discussing the actual environmental impacts of this site than the potential protesters that could arise from it. Thank you.
Thank you for joining our conversation tonight. Jeff, are you seeing any others?
I don't see any others.
This
Ramsey, you're muted.
Other.
I've seen people waving their hands in the screen. Marie Brennan. Do you see her?
Let me find her.
Yeah, I don't think they know how to raise their hand on Zoom.
We've got Marie Brennan, we've got Bill McGinn.
That's all I see right now.
Marie Brennan, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you so much. I apologize for my lack of knowledge with these type meetings, but I appreciate the chance to say just a quick comment. I've been a Brighton resident for about 12 years here on Warrington Drive with my family. And one thing I wanted to say, I was trying to think because I had more comments kind of related
that maybe you can't address, like you said in the beginning, because it's not within your purview, but I hope this applies to your purview. And that's why I'm making this comment. I would just hope with hearing all of the discord between, people who are very much opposed to this Planned Parenthood coming to Brighton, that there would be no special, tax breaks given to this organization. I know sometimes that's done because they're, considered a non-for-profit organization. But I mean, you can clearly hear that there are many people who are very disturbed by having such a facility in their, beloved town. And I would just like the board, if that is part of in your within your purview, excuse me, to consider very strongly not giving them, extra tax breaks, because not many people are obviously opposed to this type of organization. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I see someone raising their hand. There's no name, but is Bill first?
Yeah, there's a William, I see.
William, sorry. Yeah, we see there's another woman that is 908911. We don't know a name.
I see her. I'll get to her next.
Okay, you're next. Go ahead, Bill. I assume it's Bill. Sorry. You're muted, Bill.
My name is William McGinn. I've been a Brighton resident for more than 50 years, and I move and request that the planning board consider the request for an adjournment by Carol Crossett. I think it's a matter of fundamental fairness. I'm astounded at the lack of transparency in the application as to the nature of the building use. Nowhere was there any indication that it was going to be a facility for abortions. Nowhere were the names of the members of the LLC available. They're all apparently listed as Mr. Westfall when looking at the list. I think as a matter of fundamental fairness, the public in Brighton should be made aware of what the nature of this medical facility is. It is only about a half a mile from another abortion facility at Dr. Wortman's. I think that ought to be taken into consideration. And I think the environmental considerations need more study. First of all, the use of the facility and the medical waste that is generated. Is it going to be incinerated? Is there going to be an incinerator on the premises? Is the sewage system going to have to be expanded? What is the traffic flow? There should be a traffic study. Clinton Avenue and specifically Westfall Road is a very busy road already. I therefore move in support of Carol Crossett's petition that the board adjourn making a decision and provide the town with more opportunity to discuss this matter. It's clearly a very volatile issue of placing an abortion facility in the town of Brighton, not very far from an existing abortion facility. And I think that the lack of transparency by the applicant is very, very troubling. Thank you.
Thank you, William. Jeff, we have someone, we're going to ask her to introduce herself and give her name.
Hi, my name is Kathleen Cosgrove.
Kathleen, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for listening to me. I am a regional coordinator for the Silent No More Awareness Campaign. We are the largest network of mothers and fathers of aborted children who have come to regret our abortions. I strongly agree with Carol Crossett about adjourning this, the petition to adjourn. And I'm going to tell you why, and I'm going to give you facts, medical and psychological facts, consequences of abortion. In the United States, over 140,000 women a year have immediate medical complications from abortion. These include problems such as infection, uterine perforation, hemorrhaging, cervical
Okay.
trauma.
Kathleen, you're veering from.
No,
our-
I'm not, because
Yes,
they,
you are. And these points have been made by, and others have made these points prior to you. Have you anything new to add to the conversation?
well, what I'm going to say simply says that abortion has nothing to do with medicine. It is not medical care.
Okay, that's not something we're here to debate.
I'm not asking you to debate it. You listen to
Then-
other people. I'm asking you
okay.
to listen to facts.
You have, please
And
keep it brief. Keep it brief, please.
And then please keep it to the site plan or the demolition review. Thank you.
You did not tell everybody else that.
Yes, we started that in
we
the beginning
did.
of the evening.
We made it very clear.
Well, I just want to say that from experience, I do have skin in this game, literally. Abortion hurts women. It has nothing to do with healthcare. And I don't think that site is to be used for something like that hurts women and destroys life.
Thank you. Who's our next speaker, Jeff?
Maureen.
Maureen, good evening.
Hi.
Good evening, Maureen.
You're kind of breaking up.
I'm an OB. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I'm on my phone.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think here. I am a 12-year Brighton resident. I'm also an OBGYN practicing physician who's been in practice for 18 years. And I work not far from where the location of the planned facility would be. And if we're keeping it just to this kind of stuff, I'd like to say, one, I don't really think that it's going to add a whole lot to the traffic in that area. There's a lot of medical facilities in that area already. And in general, Planned Parenthoods don't pull like hundreds and hundreds of people into their clinics every day. Secondly, Mo Wortman doesn't do abortions anymore. He's on the verge of retirement. What goes on half a mile from where the proposed location is somewhat relevant. Three, medically, waste is not really going to be an issue. You know, I don't want to go into all the details of how these things happen, but it's not any different than any other facility in the area that does things that have medical waste. In fact, most things will actually go to pathology. And if we're going to really get into the medical bits and pieces of all of this, which I know we're not really supposed to, it's actually safer for women to have abortions than carry a baby to term. I know this is not the forum for this kind of a thing, but it is absolutely positively speaking as a woman who has saved women's lives by performing that procedure. I just want to say that it is absolutely positively a medical procedure. And given all the good things that Planned Parenthood does, I think that we should absolutely consider Brighton as a good location, as a mother of daughters, as a person who takes care of women. I think we need to consider this. Thank you.
Thank you, Maureen.
I ask that people keep it to the site plan and demolition.
Yeah,
We could.
Yep.
Next is William McGinn.
No. Mr. McGinn's already spoken.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Jeff, do you see anyone else?
Let me go through.
I'm looking.
I do not.
I do not either.
And I don't either. I see no one else.
Do you see anybody named Foxcrossed?
I see Fox Crossing.
Just ask Foxcroft if you wish to make a comment? Fox crossed, I'm sorry. You
I just
you
had
wish to,
something.
I'm not
Hi.
seeing,
Oh, hi, whoops,
good evening.
hi. Actually, my computer kept going out during this, so I'm against having this site.
Could you please identify who you are?
Oh, my name is Jean Horvath and I'm a Brighton resident.
Thank you, Jean.
And I'm afraid I missed some of the things that were said, and I just want to say I am against having a facility that has been known to be violating the law by selling baby parts and selling them to universities for experimentation. They're going to the University of Pittsburgh, and even the university is using live babies to that have been aborted for experimenting. So I did miss a lot of what was said before. That is
Then
basically
you missed the fact that we asked you to focus on the aspects of the site plan that we're charged with reviewing.
well, I think it is a concern, wondering, is the facility going to be breaking the law?
That is your comment.
Yes,
Okay.
thank
Thank
you.
you very much, Dean.
thank you.
Other one there?
Yeah, there is another hand up. Chris Constant.
Good evening, Chris. Could you introduce
Unmute.
yourself?
Hi. Am I hearable?
Yes.
And- okay. My name's Chris Constantine. I moved to Brighton in 1982. I'm going to say something about the site plan, namely that I didn't get to see this site plan before this meeting tonight because I only learned of the meeting tonight and the proposal, the application, today. So it's hard to see the site plan at right now, so you'll understand if I don't understand what's on it or can't see it. I'd like to know, I mean, I know you can't answer questions, but my question would be, if I could see it and answer my own questions even, and I don't know this area terribly well. I mean, I go by there a lot. I've gone to the doctors down there, but I don't have it well in my head. Are there sidewalks here? Or will the people who will be down there, will they be kind of in the street in Westfall? Or because there should be safety, there should be sidewalks. Are people going to legally be allowed to go into this whole site where the parking lots are? And that doesn't seem like they would be allowed to be in there. So they would have to be kind of on the exterior of the whole site. And I just don't, it seems to me that given the nature of the applicant or what's going to be happening there, it doesn't seem to me that that's an adequate response or an adequate plan. And I guess, if you think that those people shouldn't be there, well, that's another thing, of course, because they will be. And so, I think that the intersection of people exercising their rights and, of course, people exercising their rights to get into the building. At least down at university, the people who object, including myself, object to the facility, have to stay away. I mean, we can be on sidewalks. There's a public side. There are public sidewalks, but I don't know about here. are there in the area, not just on the way on the outside. I don't see that as an adequate plan, I guess, for this particular facility. And that's all I have to say. And again, I would say I can't really read this plan from my iPad, and I didn't get to know about it until today, which echoes some other comments. So thank you very much for letting me speak.
Thank you for joining tonight. Do we have others, Jeff?
Yep, Dorothy.
Dorothy, good evening.
Dorothy, we can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
You don't appear to be muted, but we can't hear you. I'm sorry, can anybody else hear her? I
No,
can't.
I can't hear her.
She's not muted.
Yeah, she's
It's
unmuted.
on her end, I think.
Yeah.
No.
All right.
Dorothy, please give it another try. No.
All right. Sorry, Dorothy.
I don't understand why that's happening, but no.
All right. There's somebody. Carrie.
Dorothy, sorry, please, maybe re-enter and see if you can try again. None of us can hear you.
Hello?
Who's hello? Yes.
Hi. Hi. Yes. Hi. So yeah, I just wanted to say something quick. I'm definitely in support of Carol. And just regarding the site and everything, I think the word safe has been brought up a lot. And safe is kind of the most important thing when it comes to residents, in Brighton. So us residents in Brighton. And I just think that it's not going to be safe for a lot of people in terms of the police, in terms of the protesters, and of course in terms of the children and the women who might ambulance need to be called. And I think it's going to be a lot. I don't think safe is the right word. So that is my thing that I want to say. So I would just say we stop using the word safe, because it's not going to be safe at all. So thank you.
Thank you.
Do we want to see if Dorothy can join us again?
Yep. No. Sorry, Dorothy, we can't hear you again.
Okay. Dorothy, we apologize if somehow this is on our end, but none of us can hear you. Jeff, are there others? Ramsey, do you see anyone else?
I'm looking.
I don't see anybody else.
I'm still looking. No, that's it.
Okay. All right. Just so everyone knows, what we will be doing tonight is we have one more public hearing, and then we will circle back as a board and discuss each of the applications, and you will have a sense of our decisions on each of these three public hearings tonight. If you cannot stick around, you're certainly welcome to reach out to the town in, I would say, not until tomorrow afternoon or Friday morning. But we will be discussing this application after we hear our next applicant.
Bill, I would also like to make the statement that the correspondence that have been received will be made part of the record of the public hearing for tonight.
Yes, and that
I did
does,
receive a number of communications, so
yeah.
I did want to let everyone know that.
Okay. I have to go back. I was scrolling through communications earlier, and so our next application is 6P0321, application of Brighton 12 Corners Associates LLC for a conditional use permit approval to allow a new restaurant use on property located at 1881 Monroe Avenue. Also, because of the location, it is also considered 2602 Elmwood Avenue. Is there someone in attendance to discuss this?
Yes, good evening, everybody. My name is James Creticos. I'm with BME Associates. We're at 10 Liftbridge Lane East in Fairport, New York. I'm here on behalf of Brighton 12 Corner Associates LLC. Fred Rinaldi apologizes. He had to step out for a family emergency. But we are here this evening, as Mr. Price indicated, for a conditional use permit. This is in the space at the 12 Corners Plaza. This is the portion of the building that fronts Elmwood Ave, and the western portion of the building faces the new Core Life. This is where the previous Aja Noodle was located a couple of years ago, as well as Brighton Hots had a short run right before COVID shutdown. The business the space has been vacant since the COVID shutdown. And because of the zoning here, a restaurant use requires a conditional use permit. It's been over a year time frame since that Brighton Hots was closed, which is why we are in front of you this evening. What we're looking to do is have a new restaurant come into the space similar to before. It will be the Seasoning Thai Bistro. There's another restaurant owned by the same family currently in Webster, New York. They're very community involved, and they're excited to be able to bring their business to kind of the hub of Brighton. Basically, what we're looking to do is kind of maintain a lot of the interior space, completely update the kitchen with new modern equipment, new paint on the interior, some other minor changes to help kind of celebrate the unique high ceilings in the space. They're going to bring a lot of like interior agriculture plants to help liven up the space. The exterior things we're doing is really just new signage. We were at the ARB as well as the ZBA at their last two meetings, and I believe we have everything approved as well as the couple variances we needed to get for the signage. So with this, we have provided all of the town requirements per the town code in our letter of intent. If there's any specific questions about the building, I'd be more than happy to answer them. But in the spirit of, I know you guys have I've already had a long meeting. I'll keep this very short unless there's things you'd like to know.
Okay, this is a conditional use application. You're not proposing any changes to the exterior site of the plaza or the parking or lighting on the exterior of the building.
That is correct.
And the number of seats that you're proposing, is that consistent with what was in Aja Noodle and I guess Brighton Hots?
I'm not sure on the Brighton Hots, but yes, it is consistent with Aja Noodle. We have 65 seats shown here, including the bar spaces. The bar space is only about 16 linear feet. Again, we've kind of touched on a lot of these different items in our letter of intent. Hours of operation, they're going to be open for lunch as well as dinner. So it'll be like 11 to 2:30 and then 4 to 9. And this will kind of complete the last vacant space that's in this building that's been there for a little bit.
Okay. Ramsey, do you have any questions I guess, James, real quick, just one. Is this is predominantly an eat-in facility? And are you using a lot of paper products, or is this more silverware and china kind of?
It will be primarily silverware and china, but they will have takeout containers. They are having kind of a very lively feel. They want to create some walkability connection just based on this being right at the 12 corners. They want to kind of service both, but in general, it will be a sit down, full service restaurant, waiter, china, etc.
Okay, thank you.
James, you're not proposing outdoor dining, right?
No, sir.
And is there a grease trap?
There is an existing grease trap, I believe, on the very north side of the building. As part of the kitchen improvements, they're going to be looking at exactly how they need to manage grease, whether it's individual containers under, the appropriate sink units, or whether they can, reuse that existing grease trap outside. If needed, obviously, we'd be potentially looking to replace that, but it hasn't been evaluated at this point.
Now, James, the kitchen, you said the kitchen's going to be remodeled. Do you know how big that kitchen's going to be? Won't be less than 250 square feet. Is that right?
That is correct. As we've indicated on the plan, it's going to be about 900 or 490 square feet, excluding the sink areas, which is how your code requires us to account for it. And I believe it has to be greater than 250 square feet based on what we're doing in the restaurant.
And the bar length is less than 20 feet?
Yes, sir. It is, I believe, 16 feet in length.
Great. And what was the last thing? Will there be live entertainment?
There's no live entertainment planned to my knowledge.
And what are the hours of operation? Do you know?
11 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. and 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. approximate.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. I have no further questions.
Okay, other board members, questions for the applicant?
Yeah, this is John. I have a question. Which entrance to the restaurant is intended to be the accessible entrance?
The accessible entrance is the western facing one with the vestibule. There's an existing ADA spot already located on that side of the building with a ramp.
Have you walked in that entrance lately?
I have not walked in there in the last year or so.
Because I really don't think that entrance is compliant. It has a really steep ramp from the outside doors going up a ramp to the inside set of double doors. So you may want to take a look at that and consider using the south entrance as the accessible entrance, because this has a much preferred slope approaching those doors. And if that's the case, you may want to relocate that accessible parking spot to the south side. Just take a really hard look at that, because it looks like that airlock, double door front entrance probably had a step in it at some point in the past. And somebody put in a really short, steep ramp there that is nowhere near being a 1 in 12 slope. So I suggest you take a really hard look at that. And,
sure, we can certainly review that as part of this, and if we need to, we can coordinate with town staff to do some minor improvements there. If the grades and things we can't get to work there, then we would, as you mentioned, look to probably relocate that to the south side of the building. I do want to note, though, that the parking spaces on the western face are kind of shared. The property line does go right down them. So depending on what we want to do, we would have to get probably coordinate with the adjoining property as well.
Sure, thank you.
Other board members have questions?
We're all answered.
All answered. Great. Okay, Ramsey or Ken, anything else?
No other questions?
All set.
All right, thank you. All right, James, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys very much. Good luck with the rest of your deliberations.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing. Is there anyone who cares to address this application?
There is Michael Saffron.
Yes, please.
Yes, thank you. As long as I'm still here and listening in on this one as well, I'll keep this very short. Sounds like a great use, welcome addition to 12 Corners, and consistent too, right? That's sometimes often what you guys are looking at, very consistent use. So I'll also add that 57-year perspective. I think you mentioned Aja Noodle. It's a shame that they closed. They were a very good restaurant. Brighton Hots, I wasn't even aware of. That must have been very short-lived. But the 57-year perspective, I think we're also talking, Ken Gordon, I think has been around Brighton at least that long too. I think it's the same location as Hojo's, right? Howard Johnson's back in the day. So yeah, welcome. I would see this as a very welcome addition.
Thank you. Anyone else care to address the application?
I don't see anybody else.
I don't see one either.
Okay. All right. That was our last public hearing. For anyone that may be in the audience thinking that there was some other applications tonight, the application of the Baptist Temple and Clover Park properties has been adjourned to our July 21st meeting. Application of Claire Streb has, this was for a single-family house at 1402 Blossom Road. That application was withdrawn by the applicant. And the application of Thomas Fantuzzo for preliminary site plan approval for an addition at his building on 2041 South Clinton Avenue has been adjourned to our July 21st meeting as well. So that would have been all of the public hearings for tonight. At this point, we will go back and have discussions on the application, the public hearings that we heard. Is everyone okay at this point to keep going? All right, we are going to continue. Our first application for discussion is 6P01-21, the application of, Manside Lodrigan as agent and Arroyo Escondido. I apologize, I'm not speaking clearly. For the emergency generator at 900 Winton Road South. Do we have a motion to close the public hearing on this application?
I move we close the public hearing.
Babcock Steiner,
I'll second.
Yep.
that's Delaney.
Moved and seconded to close the public hearing. Is there any discussion? Mr. Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Altman,
Aye.
Price,
Aye.
Vader,
Aye.
Delaney,
Aye.
Babcock Steiner,
Aye.
Osowski.
Aye.
Hearing closed.
Okay, thank you. All right, this application is for a site plan modification. Is there a motion to, on the site plan modification?
I move the board tables application 6P221 based on testimony and plans given, and the 34 additional pieces of information are needed so the planning board can make a determination of significance and to complete an application.
David, this is Are you speaking to 6P01 or 6P02?
6P02.
No, we're on 6P01.
Still on 6P. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Never mind. I withdraw that motion.
Okay. Do you want to make a new motion or does someone else?
Sure. Yes, I can make a new motion.
Okay.
I move the
Let's try it
board.
again.
I move the board adopts a negative declaration prepared by town staff and the board approves the application 6P121 based on the testimony given, plan submitted, and the 17 conditions.
I'll second that.
Wasowski seconds.
All right, there's been a motion and a second. Is there any conversation, questions, comments? Okay, as moved and seconded with conditions, Mr. Secretary, call the roll, please.
Delaney,
Aye.
Babcock Steiner,
Aye.
Wasowski,
Aye.
Fader,
Aye.
Price,
Aye.
Altman.
Aye.
Applications approved with conditions.
Okay. All right, that brings us to application 6P0-21 Westfall Medical Realty LLC for demolition review and approval and preliminary and final site plan approval at 2233 Southern Avenue.
Bill, before, the lady Dorothy who couldn't speak, she left a comment through chat, so I sent that to Ramsey. I don't know how you want to proceed with
I'll
that.
read it into the,
Exactly, Ramsey. That's right.
Just read
Give
it
me a
into the
second.
record.
hold on, let me find it.
If you can give her full name too, Ramsey, when you read it, if you have that.
I do not have her full name.
All right, well, we'll still have it read in.
This is the comment from the woman who couldn't speak.
And her
Not sure
was
how you want that.
Dorothy.
Okay, briefly, I asked for an adjournment based on the lack of transparency and honesty. The need to clarify how fetal remains are disposed of. I'm sorry, I just lost it again. Are disposed of. Will there be a relationship with the U of R in terms of an experimentation? How will the other offices' clients be affected and the access for ambulances? There's nothing that PP offers other than abortions that isn't readily available from federally qualified health centers. Brighton doesn't need PP, which is Planned Parenthood, I imagine. And that is the comment. Oh, this is obviously a very hot issue, and I think it's imperative that the board answers these questions, particularly in light of the PP's habits of dishonestly. So many owners with a list of names of Westfall. There should be no rush to push through this. Thank you for your patience tonight.
Okay. If Dorothy's
Jeff.
out there, thank you for finding an alternative way of sharing your thoughts with us. We appreciate it. Okay. So I guess I'll just ask, is there a motion on this application?
How about I move the board tables application 6P221 based on the testimony given in the plan submitted. The 34 items of additional information outlined in the planning board report are requested to make a determination of significance and to have a complete application.
David, if I may, this is Ken Gordon. If I may, would you also add to your motion a request to the project sponsor to submit any additional materials that they think would be helpful to the board in addressing any of the issues that were raised during the public hearing tonight?
Sure, but I think that should probably be that should be item 35 on the things we ask for.
I have, in looking at this, I have a question that I would like to ask the applicant's engineer to look into, and that is, it does appear that the property line, that a portion, or let's say even a significant portion of the public sidewalk is outside the right of way. And therefore private property. And I would just like that confirmed as to if they could color code something that shows the extent of public sidewalk along Westfall. I don't believe there's much sidewalk along Westfall. I'm sorry, Clinton. Much beyond the radius of that intersection.
So, Bill, let me understand, you want the applicant's engineer to identify public sidewalks on site?
I don't believe there's any under easement. I would just want clarification as to the location of the sidewalk and whether it's publicly and how it's publicly accessible. Either by being within the right of way or within an easement.
I just looked at South Clinton does not have a sidewalk on that side.
We're talking Westfall Road has a sidewalk.
Yeah, Westfall's got the sidewalk, but
Yeah, and it's a county sidewalk, but you want to find out if that's a public sidewalk.
I just want to be clear what the limits of public access are on that sidewalk.
So the applicant's engineer shall identify the public's rights of way along the sidewalk. Is that what you want, Bill?
Yes, yeah, it's just clarification of that, because this does appear that the property line, goes out fairly close to the curb line. And just like confirmation, whether or not, or just how that sidewalk is within the public domain.
All right, so I'm just going to say the applicant engineer shall identify all public sidewalks
Thank you.
that are available.
Thank you.
And then we have the condition that the applicant's engineer should submit any info to respond to the issues raised, plus the matters in the planning board report shall be addressed by the project engineer.
Well, how many, is that 36 conditions now?
Yes, and then I have there's 36 and I have a 37th. All comments of the conservation board shall be addressed.
Okay.
For the record, Ramsey, this is Ken. I heard David make a motion. I'm not sure we've heard a second yet. Maybe you did.
Yeah,
Not
I
yet.
actually seconded. Jason did.
Oh,
I thought it was
Jason did.
Jason.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Jason.
It's a little hard to hear.
And I'm okay with the changes.
Yeah, same here.
Okay. The motion to table and hit with a second, both the proposer and have agreed to the additional 3 comments. Any further discussion? Mr. Secretary, will you please take the roll?
Sowski,
Aye.
Jason Babcock Steiner,
Aye.
Delaney,
Aye.
Fader,
David?
David Fader.
I'm not sure if you can hear me, but I.
Okay, we hear you now.
No, we do.
Price,
Aye.
Altman.
Aye.
Matter is tabled. The hearing is kept open.
Okay, thank you. All right, that brings us to, yeah, Dukes, I got way beyond my here. Application 6P03-21 is the application of 12 Corners Associates. And this is for conditional use permit at 1881 Monroe Avenue, which is also known as 2602. Is that right? 1881 Monroe Avenue and 2602 Elmwood Avenue. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded to close the hearing. Ramsey, we call the roll.
Wasowski,
Aye.
Babcock Steiner,
Aye.
Delaney,
Aye.
Price,
Aye.
Fader,
I.
Altman. Hearing's closed.
Aye.
Okay. We have closed the public hearing. Is there a motion on the conditional use permit approval? I will actually move approval of the conditional use permit for application 6P03-21. The town findings on seeker. And Ramsey, I don't have the number of conditions in front of me, but can you confirm that?
15.
There's 15 of them. Thank you.
And the 15 conditions, town planning staff report.
I'll second that.
Fader seconds.
Moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Karen, Pam, Jason, everybody good with it? John?
Yes.
All right, moved and seconded. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Wasowski,
Aye.
Babcock Steiner,
Aye.
Delaney,
Aye.
Fader,
I.
Price,
Aye.
Altman.
Aye.
Approved with conditions.
Folks, with apologies to all of you, I'm going to duck out before sign review, and very interesting meeting
You
tonight.
don't want to stay for sign review?
Get going.
I'm three
part of the
hours
night,
behind
man.
you guys, so I'm looking
go
to
see
catch up
that.
with my group for dinner. So
Go see that sunset.
Thanks, Ken.
guys. Good night.
Stay cool. Yeah. Enjoy the rest of it, Ken.
All right, that brings us to our
Signs.
sections, which we have.
Jeffrey, you're on.
This is for sign 1609. It's for Matashi Orthodontist that's going into Brighton Commons. They're doing facade alterations on it now.
That's sign 1611.
Okay,
Is that right?
this is old business.
This is interesting.
We're doing signs, right?
Yeah.
Oh, 1609 is down under old business.
Oh, you want
Okay.
to start there? Okay. So you want to go 1609?
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Are you sharing it?
So
Yep.
ARB recommended tabling it?
No, they approved it at the last meeting.
Okay, all right.
Do you have the letter? What did they? There was a sign plan, right?
Yeah, that's separate from this.
Okay. So they changed the entire plaza signage.
They're coming in with a sign application for the rest of the plaza, but the board wanted to see that, what they would kind of look like before they approved this sign. And so then they approved the sign, and they're still working on figuring out the details of the sign plan.
All right, so ARB has approved this piece and are awaiting a more comprehensive sign package for the entire building.
Yep, that's under a separate sign number.
Okay, all right. Okay, I personally don't have a problem with it. I've been following the construction as it's going along here. Is there anybody that has any comments or concerns?
Yeah, this is John. It's kind of I mean, will all the rest of the signs not start the name off with a capital letter like this one, Mattiaccio? The M is a small letter. I don't know, that seems kind of odd, but
They're planning to have the whole plaza be in the same fashion as this one, with starting with a lowercase letter.
all right. Okay, thanks.
Jason, it's been a while since you've chimed in on fonts.
That looks good to me.
All right. Okay.
Motion to approve as recommended.
Yeah, 1609 approve as recommended. Call the roll, please.
Altman,
Aye.
Price,
Aye.
Fader,
Aye.
Delaney,
Aye.
Babcock Steiner,
Aye.
Wasowski.
Aye.
All right. Now we'll go back to new business. This is 1611 at 2900 Monroe Avenue. It's for the Vitalize. It's gonna be back internally lit, white letters.
What did the Architecture Review Board recommend, Jeff? This is our sign 1611, right?
Yep, it was approved with conditions to center the text under the gable.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's hard to see the doors with those trucks in front of it. But it's going to be offset from something, either the door or window, whatever that is. This is the old Park Ave bike, right?
Yep.
Probably end up
Well-
looking worse if it was offset from the peak. Okay, anybody have concerns? All right, approve as recommended with the condition that it be
Yeah.
centered.
Approved with conditions as recommended.
Okay. All right, please call the roll.
Altman,
Aye.
Price,
Aye.
Fader,
Aye.
Delaney,
Aye.
Babcock Steiner,
Aye.
Wasowski.
Aye.
All right, the next one is sign 1612 at 2041 South Clinton Avenue for Feet First Shoes and Orthodontics. It's not going to be lit.
And what was the recommendation of the ARB?
Approved as presented.
Okay, agreed. Move to approve as recommended by ARB. Is this already up?
No,
I don't think it is.
No,
And this is our applicant that wants to put the addition on, right?
Yeah, he adjourned it because he had to apply for a few more variances,
Okay,
and he's gonna be hearing those in July.
all right,
And then he should be back to us in July.
okay. All right. All right, as approve as recommended. I move, approve as recommended. Call the roll.
Sowski,
Aye.
Babcock, Steiner,
Aye.
Delaney,
Aye.
Vader,
Aye.
Price,
Aye.
Altman. Motion passes. 613, Jeff.
Sign 1613 at 1835 Monroe Avenue. This is for the sign plan for the Brighton Commons Plaza. It was tabled with conditions at the last meeting, at the ARB meeting.
So I would recommend that this board table it till they finish up with the ARB.
Motion to table. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have a problem with that, the entrance sign over on Monroe that says Brighton Commons Parking and that Thomas Taylor shop below it that's been there for seems like a long time. That shouldn't be there. That has to go.
So you want that as a condition or something, John?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't look good. It doesn't go with all the rest of the good signage there. I don't know if that,
So right now it's being tabled.
yeah.
Which sign are you talking about? This one?
There's a
Or-
photograph that shows the Brighton,
this-
yeah, that one right there. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That sign looks like an afterthought. I don't know. I'm hoping that no previous planning board or approved that years ago and it's grandfathered in.
I don't think that's the case looking at it.
Yeah.
I've never seen that.
So
in 30
John,
years.
what we're gonna want to do when the application is approved, it's approved with the condition that that sign be removed.
Yeah, that's fine.
So if you could
That'd be
remember
great.
that for when they come back,
Sure.
be how I would handle that.
Okay, thank you.
Should I call it?
All these real estate signs clutter things up over on Elmwood too.
Yeah, but they're legal.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna call the roll here, or call the order. Ready?
To the table. Okay.
Altman,
Aye.
Price,
Aye.
Vader,
Aye.
Delaney,
Aye.
Jason Babcock, Steiner,
Aye.
Osowski.
Aye.
All right, Jeff, let's see, 614.
1614 is the sign plan or the sign for the Thai Bistro that came in for previously. It was approved as presented by the ARB.
Now, Jeff, they need variances. Have they gotten the variances?
I don't
Said they
believe.
did.
Yeah, I think they did.
I think it was
I think
last
so.
week, right?
Guy from BME said they got them.
We've moved from all lowercase to all uppercase.
It's a different building.
Yeah, different ownership.
Same plaza. I get your point, Pam.
So approved as recommended.
Call the roll.
Osowski,
Aye.
Babcock, Steiner,
Aye.
Delaney,
Aye.
Vader,
Aye.
Price,
Aye.
Altman. Signed 615.
Signed 1615 for 2830 West Henrietta Road for Firehouse Subs. They were also in front of they needed the variances and they were approved for them.
Okay, so the conditions have been satisfied. We can approve as presented.
Yes.
Approved as recommended. Yep.
Move we approve as recommended. Or as recommended. Call the roll, please.
Delaney,
Aye.
Babcock Steiner,
Aye.
Sowski,
Aye.
Fader,
Aye.
Price,
Aye.
Altman.
Aye.
Jeff, that's it for the signs, right?
Yep.
And I think that's it for our agenda. Been fun.
Long night. Appreciate your time.
Everyone, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Have a good one, folks.
Good night,
Good job.
everybody.
Everyone, thank you.
Thanks, everyone.